And, as you can see, we are still in this text-based environment. In fact, we are on the exact same screen that I left at the end of the install series. This is actually being filmed on the next morning. Now, what we have to do in order to make a graphical environment work is we need to install the Xorg server. And how do we do that? Well, if you go to lsvar/db/repos/Gentoo, you will notice on the very right column we have x11-base. So let's take a look in there. We have Xorg apps, Xorg drivers, Xorg fonts, Xorg proto, Xorg server, and that's the one that we need, is Xorg server. So, let us emerge x11-base/Xorg-server. No, first we are going to check how much it's actually going to install. That is a lot of packages, 119 of them. Additionally, it looks like PAM-base needs elognd, and MediaLib's glvnd needs useflag-x. So when things like these pop up, when it gives you the following use changes are necessary to proceed, you simply run echo and then the program that it tells you, so media-libs/libglvnd capital X. Fat fingered that one. And then you would do these two angles like that. That tells it to append to a file. And the file that we're going to be appending to is /etc/package.use/media-libs. Additionally, it looks like I somehow left the S off of here as well. So, media-libs, libglvnd, capital X, etc, portage, package.use, media-libs. You don't have to use this particular file name right here. You do not have to call it media-libs. I just do by the package category because it makes things easier for me to figure out what it's actually working on. And so we get over to here. The next one we will do sys-auth, and we'll delete all of this stuff too, sys-auth/PAM-base. And elognd. Now sometimes these use flags can actually bring in some additional packages, and those additional packages might require even more use flag overrides. So we run the check again to ensure that nothing is causing any problems. And since I want the full rundown of everything that's going to be installed, color equals yes. Since I want the full rundown of everything that is going to be installed, we pipe the output to less. And this is the list of everything that's going to be installed. It looks like it's using elognd for Xorg server by default, which is what we need, by the way. However, we can also enable SUID. This is essentially what you would do to ensure that everything that you need is supported. It looks to me like we need to cut off a few different video cards. Because we're using AMD GPU and not dummy FBdev, Intel, Nouveau, Radeon, Radeon SI, or VESA, we can simply specify video cards equals AMD GPU in the make.conf file. And that should cut down a little bit on what the X11 drivers have to do. So let's go ahead with that. And yes, I believe that should be it. Echo video underscore cards equals, and I think this requires a backslash AMD GPU just to make sure. Yep, there it goes. Append to /etc/portage/make.conf. Now we do this again. There we go. Now the video cards have been cut down to just AMD GPU, which is what we want to install the absolute minimum of what we need. That's good. Now, if we get down to here, Mesa 22.2.5, you'll notice a few things that look a little bit out of place. Namely, that first blue one right there. It says D3D9. Well, D3D is not supported in Linux. Or is it? It kind of is, and it is not as well. It's mostly supported by Wine, which we will get into at a later point in this particular series. However, this is a lot of code right here to compile, and it is going to take a long time. However, we're going to let it go, but I'm going to time it. Furthermore, I'm going to get the date where I started and the date where I finish. The date command will show you the date and time, current as in right now. The time will actually time how long the command takes, and this date at the end will give you the date and time at which it finishes. Just to give you an idea of how long it takes and how long I had to wait. So, let's get it moving. It looks like this started January 8th, 10:28 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I'll be cutting this short as soon as it starts. Running pre-merge checks. It still hasn't started. Yes, this is one of those instances where you actually do need to have the kernel symlink set up. It also does this for the NVIDIA driver, at least last I checked. And it looks like it is starting on the first package. So I'm going to cut this off, and at the end of this jump cut, this thing will be finished. And we'll also have a time of day. And here we are at the end of this particular install process, the one for Xorg server. Looks like it took about 4 hours and 18 minutes. Well, 4 hours and 19. It says 280 or 258.50. That's 4 hours, 19 minutes. Long time. I would say the one package that took the longest was probably sysdevel llvm. That took a substantial amount of time. Now, we also need to get a actual desktop environment of some sort, whether that be a desktop environment itself or a window manager really does not matter. So let us do ls/var/db/repos/gentoo. And over on the right, we see X11WM, XFCE base, and XFCE extra. Let's take a quick look in X11WM. These are the different window managers that are available. We have some of the popular tiling window managers. Looks like we've got DWM, excuse me. And we've got i3, as well as some of the other window managers. We've got Fluxbox, we've got Blackbox, and OpenBox, all three of the boxes. Also, we have TWM, which is, if I had installed Xorg Meta, which used to be in the Gentoo repo but isn't anymore, it would have installed TWM alongside of X11. Looks like we've also got IceWM, FVWM, if I'm not mistaken. I think I played around with that once or twice. However, we're not going to be installing any of these. What we are going to be installing is under XFCE base. The one that we want to install, just for the sake of completion, is going to be XFCE for Meta. So XFCE for Meta. And this is going to show you just exactly how much that's going to pull in. It's probably going to be a lot. Like I said, a lot. Looks like almost 560 kilobytes to download. Now, as with the Xorg merge, this one is calling for a number of use changes, some to X11 libs, dev libs, XFCE base, GNOME base, and app crypt. So, echo x11-libs / Cairo x output to /etc /portage /package.use /x11-libs. After that, we've got devlibs, libdbus menu, and it is expecting a GTK3 use flag, so we'll add that in and append it to /etc /portage /package.use /dev-libs. I suppose at this point it would be wise of me to point out that there's only these 3 files right here. If you use the append option with the double angles, that's going to create a file if it doesn't exist, and if the file does exist, it's just going to append it as the next line on the file. So, echo XFCE base thunar and udisks. Append etc portage package use XFCE base. And as you can see, it created that file because it did not exist prior. GNOME base gvfs udisks append to /etc /portage /package.use /GNOME-base. And for the last one, echo app crypt /GCR GTK. Append /etc /portage /package.use /app-crypt. Now let's see what it says. It said 83 packages before. Let's see if this makes it longer. Hopefully not. "83 packages. So we go back here, we remove the PVT, we run date, time, date. The current date is January 8th, 2:56 p.m. We'll move on to the next segment as soon as this thing starts compiling on the first one. Unpacking source, source unpacked, source prepared, source configured, source compiled. That makes sense as it's only installing fonts. There's nothing really to compile if it's just a font. Anyways, I'm ending this segment right now. I'll come back whenever this thing finishes. And post jump cut, we can clearly see that this took about 5 hours and 47 minutes. The longest component of this one was devlang rust. I wasn't watching for the whole thing, so I'm just guessing that that's the one. Because it was on that for a very, very long time. And just to give you an idea, down here at the bottom it says real, user, and system. Well, real, user, and sys. Real is the real amount of time that it took. User is the amount of time that it would take on a single core system. It's approximated, of course. And in case you're not capable of doing the math in your head, 1 day is 1,440 minutes. So that would have taken over 24 hours for me to do. So that was the merge for XFCE4 meta. And one additional thing that we have to do prior to doing really anything else is RC status. ls/etc/init.d, and you will see elognd right here. We need to actually start that up. So first off, /etc/init.d/elognd start and rc update add elognd default. And now that's been added to the default run level. We'll exit as the root user. And over here, we want to run echo exec start XFCE4. Output that to .xinit rc. And if I've got all the configurations right, this should work just fine. Start X. Oh, right. It says cannot open /dev/tty0. That's because I actually need to log out, then log back in. Well, that took. There goes my super secret password, too. As you can tell, the password is indeed super secret. There. There are certain cases where you will need to leave your current session and start up a new session. However, it would appear at this point we are up in an X session with XFCE running. We appear to have a terminal, and everything seems to be good. That'll be all for this particular segment. In the next segment, we are going to be installing a few tools, namely LibreOffice and Firefox.